A lot of stuff to talk about, but it just so happens the big one everybody wants to seem to pipe in on here today is all about this transgender and Target. I do have an LGBT attorney coming up in a second. Right now, Joe is on in Rome. Joe, go ahead. You're on the radio. Good morning. Hi, Joe. You there?
I am.
Okay, go ahead. You're on.
I'd just like to call and talk about what that guy just talked about previous to me.
Okay.
He is absolutely correct about the state of New York paying for transgender sexual reassignment. Cuomo apparently did that in 2014, and it just, I have no problem helping the needy. It's through Medicaid, actually, that's where that gets paid. Unfortunate people, they do need to have medical needs covered, but where does it stop as far as the taxpayers footing the bill? New York's got the highest taxes. The Medicaid program is the highest in the nation for New York State. Where does it end? My children need certain services. I pay insurance. Even insurance companies now are mandated to pay for transgender surgeries through Cuomo's rule. Like I said, where does it stop? My kid needs certain things that he wants for eye surgeries, LASIK surgeries, cosmetic stuff. The insurance companies don't pay that for me, but yet if a transgender qualifies under the Medicaid program, they get the surgery. So I
know that the some insurance companies do cover like the eye surgery, the LASIK surgery, but most of them don't.
Thousands of the cost, though, thousands.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
And the premiums are going up in these insurance companies. The people that try to have insurance can't afford it because the premiums are so high. There's all the mandates through Obamacare.
I think that is an issue, right? The middle class kind of always gets stuck in the middle because they can't afford these certain things, and it's not just about medical procedures. And then you're seeing that Medicaid or covers a lot of things. So I don't have the answer. I didn't know that we paid for that, but remember this is not considered cosmetic, and I'm not even sure that a lot of these people who are transgender ever have the surgery, do they? Or even want to have the surgery? I understand
it's not. It is to a portion cosmetic, okay? Because you're getting sexual parts removed. I understand that these people are in need, but I have no problem paying if they need something for their lungs or their heart or something major through Medicaid. But where does it stop? I mean, we're
where are you on the bathroom thing?
As far as the bathroom thing, co-ed bathrooms, I think that's the way to go. I mean, if you want to go into a co-ed bathroom, even if it's a public co-ed bathroom to where there's multiple stalls, if you're of the type where you want to go into a co-ed bathroom and you could handle that, being in there with a transgender or being in there with the opposite sex, so be it. Okay, but to force people to actually have to go into these bathrooms to share an all-male bathroom with a transgender or an all-female bathroom with a transgender, I don't know what the answer is. Co-ed bathrooms, obviously, it'd be up to the individual's choice walking in. They know what may or may not, sharing a stall with them.
All right, Joe, I appreciate the call. Joe in Rome, thanks. I want to switch to now Angela Giampolo is an LGBT attorney, lawyer, and principal of Giampolo Law Group and founder of PhillyGayLawyer.com. So you heard Joe. How do you respond to that, Angela?
Well, I mean, to compare sex reassignment surgery with LASIK doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, and at the end there, he said that it's basically cosmetic, and doctors and not attorneys, but physicians would completely disagree with that. It's a life and death situation. People commit suicide, turn to drugs. I mean, if you're transgender and have a gender identity disorder, you're literally living in the wrong body, and that's not cosmetic at all. If I want a nose job, that's one thing, or LASIK, that's one thing, but sex reassignment is really life and death to the transgender person. And to your point, you're absolutely correct. Not a lot of trans people opt for full sex reassignment surgery. It's actually on the rare side. So if they do opt for it, it's truly a life and death situation, and they need to have the surgery.
Angela, can I, you know what society is like. I mean, we're all part of it. And we've all been brought up in our own little world, and that's just the way it is. Can you at least can you understand the discomfort that this topic has for a lot of people just because it's very foreign? And also, those that are against it have done a really good job of putting the vision of some big burly guy dressed with a wig and he's got a beard and lipstick walking into a girl's room, or a pedophile walking in dressing up so he can come in and see a little girl. You have to be sensitive to the fact that this is pretty foreign for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, I completely. And from, like you said, from a fear-mongering standpoint, they did a really good job in presenting it that way, right? I mean, men have been having their way with women since there have been men and women. And there's absolutely no reported case of a man dressing up as a woman in order to have his way with them. I mean, they're just going to go into the restroom, sexually assault, or do whatever they're going to do. And that's what's been happening for 5,000 years.
Yeah. Well, Dennis Hastert is in the news right now.
Right,
and,
right.
We could never prevent, right? We would never be able to prevent him.
The reported cases of sexual assault that have occurred are actually the transgender individuals, always F to M, so female to male, and then it happening in the men's restroom. So that's really where, you know, and Stephen Colbert said it best, you should only have two issues when you're in the restroom, and that's number one and number two. So that's really all that's going on in the restroom.
Yeah. So Joe talking about in New York State apparently that the sex change, I don't know the right terminology, maybe that's right, is in many cases now being paid for by the state. And you know, he's saying, listen, as a middle-class guy, he struggles because his insurance doesn't cover anything. And I know he made the comparison from cosmetic, you know, something like LASIK surgery. But at the same time, how much does the public need to be required to pay for these things?
Well, I addressed that at the very beginning. I mean, it is what it is. If you have a medical need that is determined to be life and death, and you qualify for the benefits, then you get them. And so just because Joe categorizes it as cosmetic, it's not. The medical community has weighed in. It's life and death. And if they're on Medicaid, then Medicaid pays for a life and death situation. It's not about it. It's not an issue of, you know, how far does this go? And, you know, just because Joe probably doesn't even know a trans person and doesn't get that it's life and death, physicians have weighed in differently. They disagree with Joe. So, sorry. Joe.
All right, well, let me ask you this, and it'll rile up your blood. It'll get your blood pressure going. But I'll ask you the question that I've heard, and that is, why all of a sudden are these transgender issues popping up? It never used to be this way.
Right, absolutely, and a lot of people.
Bring on to that one.
And I mean, a lot of people. When I was on the phone with Pittsburgh a little while ago, they think it's the LGBT community making it a big deal, but we're not. This has been happening. Yeah. You've gone to the bathroom next to a trans man, whether you know it or not, at some point in your life. This hasn't been an issue until legislatures made it an issue. I mean, this doesn't rile my blood at all. What a lot of people, nobody really knows, actually, is that North Carolina and other legislatures around the country are using this as a scapegoat, smoke and mirrors. Throw the transgender bathroom thing in, and nobody knows that what that bill did was eviscerate civil rights for everyone in North Carolina. There were 14 words that nobody is talking about that were added at the very end of that bill. And it says that no one, that means African Americans, that means women, elderly, disabled individuals, nobody in North Carolina can bring a civil lawsuit in state court in North Carolina. That's what that bill did. It eviscerated civil rights in North Carolina. Your only recourse is federal court, which if you don't bring your case in 180 days, you're SOL. That's what nobody's talking about. I'm doing radio tours not to talk about which stall I should use. What I want people to know is that these bills, actually read the law. It's not just about bathrooms. So,
right. I knew that was coming. I could hear the person in the background. That's what happens when the interview goes a little bit long with Fox. They just cut us off.